Welcome to episode number 272 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and a two-time author. Our second book is called From Letters to Leaders, Redefining New Member Education and Leveraging Belonging to Eliminate Hazing. So go and pick up that book on Amazon today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring fraternity and sorority members together. Fun fact, over this last holiday weekend, I was out traveling with my kids, showing them some universities, 3 of them in Boston, 1 in New York City. And what struck me right away is the climbing costs of education and an undergraduate degree here in the United States over the last 2 decades. The debt that these students are taking on is just a tremendous, tremendous amount. And we have to do something. We need to talk about it. Luckily, our next guest is going to give you some answers that you were looking for. Janae Adams is an international speaker, author, and the CEO of EMACK Consulting. But when she was in college, she let money rule her life. She graduated from South Carolina State University with a Bachelor of Science in Marketing. A short time after graduation, she found herself in nearly $50,000 of debt. She dug out of the debt in 2 years by following the principles that she now speaks about to audiences all around the world as a professional motivational speaker. She speaks around the world to various corporations, universities, and high schools about financial literacy. She recently released on Amazon her second book. It's called The Money Attractor: Everyone's Guide to Winning with Money so they can live their dreams. And her advice has been featured on BBC, CNBC, Huffington Post, Forbes, Black Enterprise Magazine, Good Morning America, Fox Business, Jet Magazine, and so many other places. Welcome to the show, Janae.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. And you know what? I know that we met back at a conference in Atlanta. And as soon as I saw your setup, as soon as I heard more about your story, I said, you know what? This is something that our audience members need to hear more about. So I am so excited that you are on the show with us today.
Thank you. I definitely agree with you. A lot of people need to know more about what's going on with financial literacy and debt.
Yeah, we're not talking about it enough. I want to make sure that our audience knows more about your background. You decided on South Carolina State University for your undergraduate experience. So tell our audience, why did you choose South Carolina State?
Well, first I wanted to go to college outside of North Carolina. So that was the first requirement. And then I also wanted to go to a historically Black college and university and get a full tennis scholarship. So where that landed me was South Carolina State University. And it was definitely one of the best decisions I ever made.
That's fantastic. And you also decided to join Alpha Kappa Psi professional co-ed business fraternity. Now, a lot of our guests, many of them are social fraternities. You're in the co-ed business fraternity. Talk to us a little bit about what your experience was like with Alpha Kappa Psi.
I absolutely love it and still love it today. It taught me a lot about being a business professional. I went into corporate America before I started my business. And what they taught me during that time that I was at South Carolina State really pulled me through. And one of the things I would say that was most impactful was something we used to say about no excuses. All right, excuses. We don't need to do any excuses. We just need to find the solutions. And so now that's how I live my life. Every time that something is an obstacle, I don't have an excuse about it. Let's find what the solution is, if there is one.
I like that a lot. I mean, there are all kinds of obstacles that are going to be thrown towards you, whether you're a college student, whether you're in, whatever career, your professional, pursuits. There's going to be obstacles all the time. And really the question is, can you get back up? That's really the question. And I think that's really what you learned at Alpha Kappa Psi and at South Carolina State. And you certainly have done that. I think what's interesting about your story is that you had, after graduation, $50,000 in debt, but you managed to dig out of that debt in only 2 years. Tell our audience how you were able to do that.
Yeah, so unlike most people, I actually graduated college debt free with 10 grand in the bank at the age of 21, which is not like most college students. But what people don't understand is that life happens. And so life started having me quickly. And eventually I got into that $50,000 of debt and then got laid off. And so with a 1-year-old at home and a new house, so my back was against the wall. And so I started doing what I need to do to make that change. And so a lot of people always ask me, how did I pay it off? And I always tell them it's about the why. Why did I pay it off? And so when I put that why in front of me, and I had something called a dream sheet that had my short-term, intermediate, and long-term dreams on it, I always kept that on my focus as I went through. So anytime I ran into a bad situation, an emergency that was a financial issue, that dream sheet kept me going. So I will always tell people the dream sheet helped me get there. And then obviously being able to cut out, cut back, sell things, and really just find the extra money to pay extra towards the debt each and every month.
So, give us some specifics. I mean, you talk about something called in case you are breathing fund that you would use for emergencies. Talk to our audience. What is that? And how can I build one of these up?
Yeah, so the in case you're breathing fund is basically like an emergency fund. And it is in case you're breathing, something may happen. So you need to have some money behind you. So before you ever start paying extra on your debt, more than the minimum payment, you need to have at least $1,500 set aside. So whenever I speak to college students, I like to tell the freshmen, the sophomores, $200, $300 they need to have in case you're breathing fund. As you get as the upperclassmen, you need to have about $500, because that is when you are trying to go on interviews that may be in a different state, those kind of things. And so you don't want to miss out on opportunities. But for everybody that's already graduated, that's watching, at least $1,500 saved that you don't touch except for in emergencies when you actually need it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, especially after the pandemic. I mean,
Yeah.
all kinds of things can change that are completely out of your control.
Yeah.
And so you need to make sure that you have that base just in case. I mean, can I pay the rent?
Yeah.
If I lose my job, am I going to be able to pay the rent this month? So having some kind of savings in an emergency situation makes total sense to me. And I like your sliding scale. I think that makes a lot of sense. College students might be like $1,500. Where am I getting $1,500 from? It's not going to happen, right? But I think, if they're just starting out, $200, $500, that can go a long way. I mean, that's food for the month. If you do it right, if you're cooking at home, that can sustain you for a little while you deal with whatever emergency has come up. So I like that a lot. The other thing is, you don't only speak to college students, you often speak to corporations and their employees. So talk to us a little bit about how you get employees to be more engaged at work.
Yeah. And so I actually just talked to a corporation on yesterday, virtually. And what I was doing, what I always do is trying to help them get free financially. Financial stress is what brings down productivity at organizations. So when you bring down productivity, you bring down profits. And so I come in there as the financial wellness basic coach, speaker, and talk to people about how to get out of their debt quickly, start saving money so they can get that financial stress off of their minds and be able to work better in the job that they have. And so I'm showing them exactly what I did to pay off the $50,000 of debt in 2 years, and just giving them new ideas and a new lease on life, basically.
That's fantastic. That's sounds like a really good program. The other program that you have for college students, it's called Building a Brand. And in your mind, what do you think is responsible social media behavior in today's world when we're talking about things like Instagram, TikTok, and things like that?
I would say responsible social media behavior is something that doesn't cost you money, okay? And what I mean by that is that it doesn't get your scholarships taken away. It doesn't get you kicked out of college, especially when you are someone who may be actually trying to be a lawyer. And that's what you've been studying for. You got into your senior year and all of a sudden you got kicked out of school. Now you just wasted all that money, all that time, and you don't even have a degree to show for it. Something that doesn't embarrass you and your family, doesn't have you on the nightly news, doesn't make you lose your internship or that job offer. That's what responsible social media behavior is definitely all about.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, listen, I went to school 25 years ago for college, and back then we didn't have a camera and a video recorder in our pocket walking around campus. So, did I do things that I probably shouldn't have? Yeah. Is that on tape? No, right? So but it's a different world now. And I think, those are some of the things that I talk about with the college students
Yeah.
that I speak to as well, is just understand that if you take a video, Snapchat, whatever, even if you think that this is just like gone forever, I got to tell you, there's really no such thing as privacy on social media. There's all kinds of ways to do a screen capture, and then
Yep.
suddenly that video is all over the world in 6 seconds.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I mean, and you're right. I mean, think about all the work that you had to do, not just in college, but even
Yeah.
getting to college, right? In high school, your SATs, your ACTs, all the work. And you finally get to college, you finally get this opportunity at an institution of higher education, and you blow it all in 6 seconds because of a stupid Snapchat that you sent. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh.
It's,
Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. So, all right. So, what advice do you have for college students who are listening right now, so that way they can get paid internships while they're in school and help to, alleviate some of this debt problem that we talked about?
Yeah, so what I tell college students, because I personally had an internship that paid an annual salary of $45,000. So I was making about $3,000 a month as a 20-year-old. So I understand that there are paid internships out there. First and foremost, as soon as you step on a campus, you need to go to the Career Center. And you need to know everybody's name in there, and they need to know you and what you have to offer. Because when those type of paid internships come through, they need to say, oh, this is perfect for Janae. Let me make sure I give her a call, send her an email so she can come in and interview for this. Also, I would say go to LinkedIn. So if you go on LinkedIn, and I would say start probably in the 6 months before you want the paid internship. So if you want to work in the fall, 6 months before that. If you want to work in the spring, 6 months before that. Put in LinkedIn paid internships in the search box, and then all the internships in the United States, and stick to the United States at corporations or organizations that will come up, and you can start applying.
That's great advice. I mean, the Career Center is there to help you get the jobs and the money that you need to be a successful student on campus. And it's like an underused, underutilized resource on campus. And I love that you're talking about LinkedIn. So many college students I talk to, they don't even have a profile on LinkedIn. They don't even have an account. And I'm like, all right, so let me get this straight. You have an Instagram account, you have a TikTok account. I'm like, why are you in college again? Oh, it's to get a higher paying job.
Yeah.
Okay, you need an account on LinkedIn too, I mean, come on, like, let's get it, because you're absolutely right. I mean, that is the window that professionals use in order to find talent. And if you don't have an account on LinkedIn, boy, oh boy, you are just missing the boat. So I agree with you completely. Another great program that you have is called Entrepreneurship. Talk to our audience a little bit about how college students can turn whatever their passion is into a real business that makes money.
Yeah. So I've been an entrepreneur for going on 12 years now. And so with that program, I'm pretty much bringing all of my expertise to them to help them get there a lot faster. And so I'm showing them how to take what they would do for free, their hobbies, their skills, and how to monetize it. Because so many people don't understand that, yes, you like playing basketball, but how can you train for $50 an hour per kid and make $250 an hour and use that for an emergency fund and putting it together? And so just showing students that there's money out there, whether it is something that you have a skill set for or something you can use through social media and get paid for doing reels. You now get paid for doing reels, and I mean, hundreds of dollars, and depending on how many followers you have, thousands of dollars. So it's just different ways to become an entrepreneur and to be able to make money while you're in college, even if you want to go work for somebody else in the future.
Yeah, I like those examples that you were talking about with basketball. I know a lot of college students are into, fitness and working out at the gym.
Yeah.
There are opportunities as a trainer if you
Yeah.
want to train at the gym and train other people. Social media, you're absolutely right. A lot of the people listening have huge social media accounts, whether that be Instagram or TikTok. And there are companies out there that are paying a lot of money for all kinds of branding opportunities on social media. So you might as well take advantage of it, right?
Exactly. If you're already using the product, why not make them pay you to actually show it to the audience that you have? They want to get in front of that audience, and you can be actually the person that gets in front of them.
Absolutely. I mean, if it's a college student, that's Gen Z. That is like the main target. A lot of these companies and brands want to get their products in front of, and they don't know how to do it. Well, guess what? It's all attached to your account as a college student. All your followers, that's their prime customers. So I like that a lot. The other thing that students talk to me about is that they would love to travel. They want to see the world, but they don't really have the money to do it right now as a college student. So how can students travel, but also keep a reasonable budget at the same time?
Well, if I were them, I would do what I did in college, and it makes even more sense these days, is to think about kind of like a staycation, not exactly in the city that your college is in, but maybe 30 minutes away or an hour away. So Charleston, South Carolina is about an hour from South Carolina State University. So we used to go to Charleston a lot. Charleston is absolutely beautiful, and you feel like you're in a whole new world, and you're right there by the water and all this history, and it didn't cost hardly anything, and it wouldn't cost hardly anything today. So just think about trying to do a staycation maybe an hour away from your school, just to feel like you're getting that vacation vibe.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And then there are plenty of places like Airbnb and other places where you can go to save money on hotel costs, food. I mean, if you're creative and you can cook a little bit, that might be another way for you to save some money while you're out on the road. But I agree with you. I think it's a great opportunity for students to get out there and see what's going on. My daughter, she's in high school, and she just came back from a trip to London and also Madrid as well. I mean, what a great experience to be able to have, international travel on your resume, where she's practicing, her Spanish. Now she wants to go to Paris so she can practice her French. I
Yeah.
mean, that is a great experience that you can talk about even on a job interview, to talk about, the international culture that you were exposed to. And who knows what that can lead to. I mean, a lot of these companies have international offices, for example. So if you are able to travel and you have some experience there, that might be of interest to the CEO that's sitting across the table from you on a job interview, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I love it. I think that's great advice. Now, we do love good food here at the Fraternity Foodie Podcast, and I know you're living in the Greensboro area of North Carolina, and some of those towns over there. Boy, oh boy, do they have good food. What's your favorite restaurant these days?
There is a few of them, but I would say a quick one that I really am liking right now, and it's called Dirty Fries. Okay, it's called Dirty Fries. So it's not a place that you actually sit down, but you go in there, and my favorite meal is these fries with cheese on top of them, bacon on there, some Old Bay seasoning. So it's really, it's really good. It's not healthy, but it's absolutely delicious.
I like how you say it's not healthy, but it is delicious. I mean, anything with Old Bay. I mean, I'm a guy who spent, my summers as a kid in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
when you have, seafood, you better believe that there's going to be some Old Bay seasoning on that seafood. And I tell you what, I miss it so much. Now I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm landlocked. So I don't really get opportunity to have fresh seafood and things like that. As soon as I taste that Old Bay, I'm like, it brings me right back to those pleasant memories as a kid, growing up in Maryland, and going to get some crabs that we picked up right off the ocean floor. So yeah, that is really good. I'm definitely going to have to check out some Dirty Fries next time I'm in your town.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So if our student listeners want to bring you in to speak on their college campus about financial literacy, where's the best place for them to go and to connect with you?
I would say go to my website. It's debtsucksuniversity.com. So debt, like you want to be debt free, debtsucksuniversity.com. That's where you'll find all the information.
Debtsucksuniversity.com. I love that domain name. Makes total sense to me. Janae, what you talk about is just so important. And so I'm so grateful that you're out there as a resource for our college students. I hope that a ton of college students go and check out your website, bring you in to come in and speak, because, there's nothing more important than financial literacy. Unfortunately, we just have so much debt within higher education, and it's doing a disservice to the college students to be able to, just graduate and move out on their own. A lot of them are staying at home in their parents' basement because they can't afford to go out and get their own place. And you know what? I don't blame them. I mean, the debt is just tremendous,
Yeah.
and I don't know any other answers, but I think if they follow some of the hints and the other things that you've been talking about here on this podcast, I think that they can bring that debt way down and then find a way to get their own place and start building a successful career like you have. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you for that as well. I hope they are able to, take some of these tips to help with their money.
Absolutely. I think that's great. And go and check out Jeanet's book. It's called The Money Attractor, Everyone's Guide to Winning with Money so they can live their dreams. You can pick that up on Amazon. If you like this interview with Jeanet, make sure that you like it and share it with other college students on campus. And we hope to see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.